Hello, family. I am so excited, that we're going to walk this journey together. In this video, we're going to be talking a lot about my journey. My name is Baloyi. I'm a songwriter. I'm a singer as well. And it is a pleasure for me to share just my testimony and just where I've been, where I'm going. It's just so that you can understand me a little bit better. I'd like to share a little bit of story time. I've got my notes here and I just want to talk to you about, where I have started and where I am going as an artist. So just a little bit of story time. My passion is songwriting. I am a songwriter. I started writing songs back in the years. I think I was about, 18. I was fresh from high school, and just between going to high school and tertiary, that December period, and that is when I was with my friends, and one of my friends said, I just wrote a song, and they played a song for me, and that triggered something. And then from there I went home and I started writing my first song, and ever since then I never stopped writing. So it just so happened that I also went to tertiary, and when we got to school we had an organization called Student Christian Organization, that's SCO for short. So we used to go to SCO a lot, and then we had choir practices almost every Thursday and Friday. We used to practice with the choir, and after joining the choir, after a while, then I was appointed the chairperson of the choir. By virtue of being appointed chairperson of the choir, I had to come up with songs for the choir. So we would take from other artists whatever they're singing and would sing with the choir. But because I'm passionate about songwriting, then every Thursday and Friday I would put together a song. I would write a song so that every Thursday and Friday we rehearse that song so that by Sunday we can then minister. And that really trained my skill in terms of songwriting. It also just trained my skill in terms of working with voices, soprano, alto, and tenor, and also just being able to talk to a producer. Obviously at the time it's not producer, it's just a piano player at the time, and you have the choir as well, and you need to be able to know what are the lines for alto, what are the lines for soprano and tenor, and also the band. Usually it was not like a full big band, but usually we've got the guitars, maybe the bass guitar, and then you've got the keys, usually the first keys and the second keys, and you also have as well the drums as well. So if you've got a bit of idea to say, this is how I see it, this is where I see the drum, this is how I think maybe the piano can go, just a little bit of ideas. Obviously at the time we were not doing music on a professional level, we're just doing music at a church level. And then what I always tried to do is just write a song so that at least all the time I was not aware that I was in a bit of a training of some sort, because one day I'll be doing music professionally. So today I am doing music professionally. I love the Lord and I do gospel music predominantly, and this is something that I trained when we were still at school. So while singing with the choir, we formed a group. A lot of the people that we sing with during the choir at SCO, we end up becoming friends because we spend so much time together. If we are not in a prayer session, we are attending, we are in the praise and worship team, and then we also have got the choir as well. So we ended up all becoming friends. And towards the end of our journey at school, when we were almost about to finish, we decided, how about we record an album so that we can capture the memory of our music. And then we tried to put together some money, just hustling money basically, because we were all students and we didn't have money. We all just took whatever we had, and there was a studio around the corner of the tertiary institution where we were. So we would then bank classes. Don't tell Don't tell people that we were banking classes to go and record at a studio, and I would skip tests and I would skip exams and stuff to go to the studio to record music. And we recorded a full album basically with Sweet Harmony. Of course, at the time we didn't know anything about mixing or mastering or whatever. We literally just recorded the songs we love, and then we had them, and then we'd play them and would share them with our friends and everything like that. And obviously then we left tertiary, and then I obviously started, I got a job laptop and I started working. And because I'm so passionate, with music and everything, I remember literally taking everything that I had. It was more like an internship, but taking everything from my internship and then, recording an album. It was just myself and my producer, who happens to be my best friend as well. So my best friend and I, we found a studio in Joburg, and then would then try to find accommodation. So during the day I'd go to work, and then I would come back from work, and then we had a little bit of a room at a big hotel. They gave us a basement. It didn't have windows or anything, and it was very claustrophobic, and we spent a lot of the time there, and then that's where we slept. But then during the day I'll be at work, and then when I came back from work, would spend most of the hours at night just recording at the studio, because we already had the songs, we already had the material. Of course, that album didn't go anywhere, but we did put together the songs, and that's when we started learning, it has to be mixed. And then we started looking for people who can mix the album and master the album. It didn't go well, but there was one particular song which a lot of our friends and families who got access to the album also appreciated, and it also kind of put a stamp to say there is potential, we could do this on a professional level. At the time, I would go into the studio, record my sopranos, altos, and tenor, and then also do the leads and everything basically. And then obviously then my producer will do all the instrumentation, like do the beat using the piano, and also put in all the sounds and everything. Basically, that is where we started. And then from there, it did take a few more years just to kind of learn more about the industry and understand the industry and all of that. And at the time also, that is when the live productions were starting to kind of be a thing, to say you need to maybe record live. And I think One Gospel in South Africa was starting to be very popular. So every musician was aspiring to have a video. And at the time, obviously, I was working professionally, in Rustenburg. And I remember when I resigned from Rustenburg, I got a little bit of some money, and I remember taking literally everything that I got from when I resigned from your pension fund and everything, and to fund the project which we recorded the song Mayenzi from my album. We didn't know much about live productions, but my producer had a lot of experience, because then he had already started working with other artists who were predominantly bigger at the time. So we did take a lot of what he had gathered, and then we called in some friends as well, and then we started recording live. I personally didn't know that it is a whole entire different ball game when you record live, and then the nerves really get onto you, because you don't have experience and you're trying to be so professional. As a result, you can end up looking a bit dodgy because you're not very comfortable, obviously, and a lot of obviously the songs didn't really come out the way we expected, because there was still lack of experience to a certain degree, and then we didn't really understand fully who's our target market and what do they really want, and all of the things like that. And by we, I mean me. By the way, I didn't understand, because a lot of the people I was working with, they already had experience, but I didn't have an experience of recording live. What tends to happen is that you can sing very comfortable, but as soon as there's a camera in front of you, sometimes it just gets a bit tricky, and you're trying to be nice, and that's why you end up missing it. And that was my experience of not being very comfortable on camera, and my voice not really coming out the way I would have liked it to. I just thank God. And you don't know the story of my attire. I had a tailor and I had a suit that I had planned out for. On the day of the recording, guy comes and says I couldn't finish the suit, but I've got another suit that I think can look good on you. And I said, just give me anything you have. And then he said, I'll bring the suit at the show, because I'm still trying to put it together. And indeed, I did the first set with the suit I had already. already. And then second set, guy comes with the suit. At the time, I looked at the suit, I really loved it. I put it together, and then we recorded. Obviously, yay, social media when the songs came out. Disaster. People, on top of me on social media, Facebook was the worst. I'm not on Twitter, so I wasn't getting a lot of Twitter feedback, but Facebook, because when it came out, started playing on TV, because there was one song which I think a lot of people related to. But then social media, that's when I got training for social media to say people are gonna be on top of you, and they're just gonna come at you. At that time, that's when I started to perhaps know and understand, how to deal with the general public. Because remember, every time I was singing for my friends and family and at church, and people are generally kind. But when your song starts to play on TV, you start to meet a lot of people who don't know you per se, so they don't really care. They just have an opinion to say, what was this guy thinking? He's not even such a great singer anyway. I remember one of the comments was like, oh, somebody wasted money recording this guy. And that time, you're going through the comments and you're thinking, is this how people really feel? It kind of hurts. I remember the suit. I got a lot of backlash with the suit. What is he wearing? And I remember someone saying, you just took a fatug, like a dishwashing cloth, and decided to wear that thing. The comments were really horrible. But for me, I took that as training to say, okay, this is social media. You will find negative comments, and it's just up to you how you kind of turn that into a positive. And this is how you kind of train your mind to never care what people say, basically, especially on social media. So that's my journey as far as that album is concerned. But what came out of that album is the song Mayenzi Wintando Yako kind of taught me what people were relating to as far as my music was concerned, and what people really connected with. And for me, I did realize that people connected with me when I sang very simple songs and a little bit of traditional kind of singing, because I always thought I can kill the raves and I can sing English songs and all of that. But that's what I took, that I didn't really do well on those, and perhaps my voice and didn't quite blend in well with that. Sometimes you just think, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, and whatever, and you don't really know until it comes out to the general public, and that's when you start to realize, perhaps this is not my area, but perhaps I can maybe focus a little bit more. I remember even the song Mayenzi Wintando Yako, when I wrote it, I was not even writing it for me. Like I'm saying that, sometimes I write songs for other people, and the person I was writing the song for, they ended up not recording the song. So when we did the album, I was like, let me try that song. I didn't really perhaps gravitate towards the song because I thought it was a bit too traditional, and I had other songs that I thought, this is a good song because I've been at church 1, church 2, and church 3, and in all the churches when I go and sing that song, usually they like it. Sometimes even when you come, they call you by the name of that song, and you think, that song, I got it, only to realize, hey, it's not like that out there. When you put music, you must expect that things will not always go the way you think. A song that you think, this is a hit song, with this one I'm gonna get them, might not always be the case, because there's a whole entire market out there, and they will receive the music the way they feel it, differently to how you perhaps think about it. So that's what I learned through the album of Mayenzi. But one thing that happened with that album of Mayenzi, I remember literally we started to look for distribution and all of that, and one of the most remember I resigned from my job to record this album. So I didn't have any money, and I didn't have a job at the time, and obviously I don't want to go into that story, but basically I'm broke. I've recorded and I've spent all the money, and now I need to get a distributor and all that. So I called my friend and I was like, can we drive to Durban? And then he was so kind to accompany me. But then, you know, we wanted to go to Durban, which is like 600 or kilometers or so, you know, from Pretoria to Durban, just to go and, you know, submit the music, set up an appointment, and then you had to go and look for a distributor so that your music, your CD can be in all the stores and all that. So we got there, and then of course they took the music, and then of course they said that will come back to us. But here's an interesting thing. We went so far, we only had money for fuel. We didn't have money, you know, for accommodation, and we had to obviously spend the night because it's so far, and so that we can at least drive back tomorrow. So we're in Durban. Hey. We're in Durban, then we're trying to kill time, you know, we just, you know, kind of were at the beach, and we're kind of just hanging around and all that. And then, you know, again, don't tell anyone, but we had to now go and find a parking where we can park the car. So we found one of the casinos. We just went inside a casino, and we at the parking of the casino, that's when we kind of just, you know, parked the car there, and we spent the night there just sleeping inside the car, because we had a goal, and the goal was to submit the album at the company which we were hoping they will distribute us. And they said to us, we'll come back to you. And one of the things the lady said to me, she said to me that, you know what, in South Africa there's two artists in gospel, and if you are not these two artists, Musica will not even place you in the front when they place your music. You have to be these two artists. You are either this person, which is a male person. I don't want to mention them by name because, you know, I don't want to get into trouble. And also this other female person. At the time, they were so big, and it just so happens they're still big right now. So I've kind of given you a clue. Draw me a comment and tell me who do you think I'm talking about. So I didn't have a right to talk about them. So they told me, if you are not that artist, we're not gonna put you up on the front, but we're gonna try our best to find you a deal of some sort where we can distribute you. We'll come back to you and let you know if we can offer you a deal to distribute you. So we obviously slept in Durban at the parking lot, and then in the morning we woke up in the morning, went to the beach, and then at the bathrooms there, that's when we kind of refreshed and everything, and then would then drive back. So that is pretty much the journey. And then I submitted the music. I remember trying to look for someone who can help me in terms of PR, submitting to the TVs, and I couldn't find anybody. I literally remember I drove to Urban Brew. I went personally because I didn't know anyone. You know, it was just so hard. I asked around and I didn't know anyone. I drove to Urban Brew where One Gospel is, and I just went in at the reception and I sat there. The lady asked me, "Why are you here? What are you looking for?" I said, "No, I'm fine. I'll come back to you." I just said, "Brilliant, my guy, what are you looking for?" I just sat there. And then after a while, I gained the confidence and I approached someone and I started talking to them. How can I submit? And then they told me the process. It just so happened that I found a really good person who was able to guide me through all the steps on how to get my music on TV. And of course, eventually then my music was on TV, and I think One Gospel was one of the channels that played my music a lot at the time, and obviously launching, because I didn't have budget to make sure that, you know, the music is on all the radio stations. I didn't afford to hire a PR or whatever, because remember, I quit my job in order to do this. So obviously with time there was a lot of frustration that came, and maybe a bit of depression and this and that came at the time, you know, because now, you know, your music is playing all over, people are starting to recognize you, but then, you know, there's no money coming in, and you know, there was no bookings per se also that were coming in, even though my music was predominantly starting to play, and that caused a frustration on my side because I didn't know this is how the industry is, and I didn't know that it can be so cold out there, and that caused frustration. And I remember taking down all the music on all my digital platforms. I took down the music and I started calling even the channels, and I was like, can you please take down my music? Can you please stop playing my music? Or the channels which I had access to, I did try to call them to ask them not to play my music anymore, because I was so frustrated, because it didn't make sense that how can I be walking into a mall and someone is able to recognize me, but the bank is not showing that kind of there wasn't collaboration between my bank account and my music, and I didn't obviously understand. I was still very young, and I didn't have a full picture on how the industry works. And obviously, I came back and then again went to the drawing board to learn more about the industry and to understand more, and to kind of place myself mentally in a better position, so that if anything comes, I can still be able to take it. So after a while, I put back the song that I think people liked the first time. I put it back again, and after a while I loaded back my music, and then obviously I started to work again professionally. As always, whenever I work, I would take whatever I'm getting from my job, put it together so that we can be able to record some music. And it just so happened that I had this idea, because now I believe that I could write music. So I had this idea about forming a platform where I can write songs and call artists to come in and sing those songs that I wrote, because I was a songwriter and I was writing, and I was always hoping to get a call from someone saying, could you please write for me? But the calls were not coming. And I could write for the artists that were my friends there and there, the ones I had access to. But in general, I wasn't getting a lot of people calling me to say, can you please write a song for me? So then I decided to, instead of recording my own album, I wanted to focus more, in my opinion, on something that I thought was my strong point, which was songwriting. So I then started to pick up the phone and then call the people that most of them are my friends. I called my friends in, and a few people that I was aspiring to work with, even though I had no personal contact with them. But when I called them, they were so keen, and then they came through. Obviously, we booked them, and then they came through, and then I wrote the songs, and then they were so willing to gracefully sing and share a stage with me, even though I didn't have much experience, and even though I was fairly young compared to most of the artists that I invited, which were predominantly already much more established. That's when we came up with I Write You Sing, and that's where I Write You Sing was born. So then we were a lot more mature, and then we kind of already mentally in a position where even if anything happens, we're not taking anything down. We are already prepared to go through the process. And indeed, we went through the process. Most of it, we went through it organically. And, we didn't really even push harder. We just kind of allowed the process to kind of unfold on its own. Now, we don't really care what people are saying on social media if they say negative things, because now we are a lot more mature. So that's how I came up with I Write You Sing. And then we recorded most of the music, and the concept was purely based on writing songs for other artists. And it just so happened again that one of the songs that I was also leading, people received it also very well again, which I really appreciate you guys for loving the song Ufanelwe. And that was my journey as far as that part is concerned. And obviously, as an artist, you kind of grow and you want to try out other things. I had a concept where people can sit around the fire and to sit around the fire and just sing and worship. And this comes from the fact that when I was young at home, my mom and I, we used to sit around the fire. I don't know what you call it, but we called it prama stove. You know, we kind of switch off the stove, small little stove, where you put paraffin in it, and you kind of, I'll put a picture somewhere on the screen to show you what prama stove looks like. And then we would sit on the prama stove and then would then sing. You know, at home we always like to sing together. You know, it would be myself and my mom, sometimes my sister, and when there's family that comes, you know, especially in winter, we'll always have a prama stove, and then we'll be singing around prama stove. So, you know, having lost my mom, when I miss my mom, sometimes I think of those moments where we're sitting around the fire and then we are singing. That's when I wanted to simulate an experience of sitting around the fire, just to kind of have an experience of singing and simulate something that I know is very personal to me, and it reminded me of my mother. So that's when we came out with the Bonfire. I'm actually wearing the same hoodie, you know, the Bonfire experience. And then indeed we did put together the fire, and then we recorded, you know, with our friends who came, you know, and assisted us in terms of the backing vocalist, the band, and everything. This time around, we didn't have a lot of featuring artists, unlike I Write You Sing, because I Write You Sing, I write the music and I invite the artist to come and sing. But with the Bonfire, it is more focused then on Brilliant Baloyi as an artist and also as a singer. So I will have a few features there and there. So you will see that on the Bonfire, we don't have a lot of featuring artists, but at I Write You Sing, we have a lot of featuring artists. A beautiful journey with the Bonfire, by the way, and lots of challenges that came through, because in that, when we recorded the Bonfire for the very first time, we ended up not releasing it, even though we recorded the whole entire album, and you know, we had everything planned out nicely. But it just so happened that we had a challenge with the video. When it came out, we didn't really like it, and that's when we decided we're not gonna release this. It took a whole entire year of us deciding that no, we're not gonna release this eventually. And we tried out different methods, you know, to say maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that, but eventually it just didn't really work, and it wasn't what we had planned in mind. Because remember, the vision is just for us to sit around the fire. And indeed, you know, after a year of just healing from knowing that we recorded the music and we can't release it, then we went again and tried again the Bonfire again. And you know, I do thank God that eventually we managed to record the Bonfire experience. And I hope when it comes out, you know, you like it and you enjoy it. And you know, if you are watching this video at the time where the album is already out, just go on to your favorite music platform and just search Brilliant Baloyi, the Bonfire experience, and see if, you know, you will enjoy the music. I believe that you will enjoy the music. And please leave me a comment and tell me which one is your favorite song of the Bonfire as soon as it does come out. So this is my journey in short, and you know, I'll be having this podcast and we'll be sharing a lot more about my journey. And as I do the podcast, I will perhaps pick one of my songs just to review it, and then also maybe pick another hit song. So we'll have a segment called My Song Review and have another segment called Hit Song Review. And you know, we'll talk about anything that has to do with music and songwriting. And I just want to share with you my journey and everything that makes me, you know, Brilliant Baloyi. What are the things that I personally have to be going through in order to write a song, and how has my experience in the industry been? I'd really like to share, because I know that this might be inspirational for someone, and I know that someone might take something from my journey. One thing I didn't tell you is that after recording the I Write You Sing album, now we were looking for a distributor again. And but now when we're looking for a distributor, it was a time wherein now things are now moving from the old way of doing things into a digital way of doing things. And when we went to this particular company, which I will not name, they're very popular in the gospel space. And I remember the owner of the company telling us, like, it was me and my two friends, my manager at the time, and my two friends, we were basically also my management. And I remember the gentleman, who attended to us, I remember him telling us, what do you want here? What is it that I can offer you? And we went about, no, we believe you can do this, you can do that, whatever. He said, what do you want? You can do it yourself. At the time, we obviously didn't understand, because we thought, no, but you already have a huge following. You already have, these are the advantages if we work with you. And he literally said, what do you want? You can do this yourself. And we went back, obviously heartbroken, but his words, even today, they still remind me that you can do it. What do you want? You can do it yourself. And I want to share this with you to say, but what do you want? You can do this yourself. You can record that single. You can record that album. You can do that live production. What do you want? What do you want out there? What do you think you're going to get out there? You can do this yourself. At least do it yourself. And go through the processes of learning and make mistakes and record something and it doesn't come out, record something, then it's a flop. And because those processes build you up to be better, and those processes and the contacts you are establishing all along the way also kind of now give you a network, and now you are gaining a lot. Now a lot about, there's lighting, there's mixing, there's mastering, there's stage presence, there's this, and then there's that, and all of that. A lot of the time we want to come up to a platform that is already established and it's already ready, and we don't get to train on how to do this better from a business side of things, and also on the forefront in terms of presentation and spirituality and everything that makes up a good artist. So I really, 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 really thank this management of this particular company that I went to, and they asked me and my team, what do you want? You can do this yourself. At the time, I didn't know, but now I really appreciate them, because then we came back. Obviously, when you go to a company, you're looking at the bigger picture, because they have the bigger budget. They can market you better. They can present you better. And you just know how to write songs, but you know nothing about doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A lot of the things that are needed in the music industry in order to put an artist together. So those are the things that I personally had to go through. But today, I'm really grateful, and I know that even now I'm still doing it at my pace, trusting God that it will grow and grow and grow and reach a lot more audience. And obviously there are limits, there are challenges, but I'm happy with the journey, and I'd like to encourage you that you can do it. Stop thinking, from when I was a child singing at church, I've always hoped that maybe in the audience there's a guy from a record label, and sometimes people will come and they'll always come and say, hey, yeah, you sing so powerful, I want to take you to Joburg and record you. I've heard those stories all my life. I want to take you to Joburg. Stop waiting for someone to take you to Joburg. No, you can do it. You don't even need Joburg. Wherever you are, you can record at that nearest studio, and nowadays, trust me, it's even worse, because nowadays you can go and buy a mic. You've got a mic, you've got a laptop, you've got a friend who can play pianos. That's a good place to start. You don't even need a studio anymore nowadays. You can have your own little setup in the bedroom and start from there. So that is my journey, and I can tell you now, a lot of the songs that we hear even on radio, especially nowadays with the amapiano genres and stuff, a lot of the guys are making the music in their own bedroom. So this is just me encouraging a brother, encouraging a sister out there to say, you can do it. You know, stop waiting for someone to come. Stop hoping, you know, that someone will call you by the name when God has trusted you with this gift and you are the one feeling it inside of you that I've got something that I can offer to the world. And what I can tell you also is that when you do it, no matter the mistakes that you will make, you are also learning within that journey as well. So that is my journey, and you know, I don't really want to make this video very long, even though I do enjoy talking to you. All I can say is that come back here weekly, hit the subscribe button, and let's just walk this journey together.